Chris Phillips is live now into the weekend with Flashback Friday on the UK's #1 station, secondcityradio.net, and on the Second City Radio app for Android and iOS.
29 minutes past 9 o'clock, Second City Radio, the nation's #1 station, live across the UK, Europe and the world. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. Can I say that? I can say that, can't I? I'm like a kid in a sweet shop. It's like going back to when, well, I was a little bit younger. We won't say when or what age. But, of course, I've been watching this guy for a long, long time, and he's an absolute exceptional young man. And he won't mind me saying that because he's on the radio now. Legend that is Mr. Duncan Norvelle. Good evening, Duncan.
Hello, Chris. How are you, love?
I am very well. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, and thank you for all the big build-up and everything you've done for me and playing some of my songs. Well, very good of you. You've done a great job. Thank you.
You are very welcome. I will send the bill.
Yeah, please do.
No, I won't, Duncan. No, I won't. Well, listen, Duncan Norvelle on Second City Radio. I can't believe it, Duncan.
Well, you asked me if I'd come on, and I said yes, I'd love to. I have listened to you before, and I thought, yeah, that'd be a great programme to do. And
wow.
So we got our heads together. You sent me an email, and I sent one back, and we've agreed on the date, and here I am.
Well, listen, it's great to have you on the show tonight. We
didn't actually put radio. I mean, I'm sat here in my tuxedo. I've even polished my shoes. We've done everything here.
Well, it's a cheap night tonight. It's a cheap night. It's a cheap seat night tonight, Duncan.
Is it really?
It is. You're sitting there in your tuxedo, and I'm sitting here in a pair of can only be described as pyjamas.
Oh, okay.
So we're both as guilty as each other. Well, listen, there's so much to talk about, and I suppose, Duncan, I'm going to start at the top of the show. What made you decide to get into this career? Who were you watching at the time, and why get into this world of show?
Well, I always wanted to go on stage. I think it's just born into you. You know, you want to go on stage, and I decided I had to go on, and I did a few shows. I learned a few impressions, and my character came quite early. You know, the little bit of campness that I had in my act, although a lot of people would say it were a lot of campness. And a cross between like a John Inman and a Michael Crawford. You know, the stupid, silly boy next door, he was a little bit camp, really. And it seemed to take off at the time. You know, it was a bit risky all those years ago. I mean, everybody who's on telly now is a little bit gay. But, of course, I was doing it in the late 80s, early 80s. And it was a little bit harder when you go around the clubs, and I was coming on to Teddy Bear's Picnic and asking somebody to skip me. Especially in the northeast, you know, they kind of tell me to have sex and travel, you know, if you get what I mean.
I do. I mean, obviously, you know, you didn't start off kind of going into it. You must have been. Who were you watching on the TV growing up? Who influenced you? Who were you looking at on the TV? You know, as a teenager, thinking, I would love to do that. I could do that. I want to perfect that. Who were you watching? Who did you look up to?
Comedian-wise.
Yeah, well, yeah, people in the world of show.
But the funny people to me at my time, my career, would have been the Tommy Coopers, the Ken Dodds, you know, Les Dawson was funny. I mean, I did so many of his shows, and he was an absolute gent, and he was funny. Great timer of a joke. He was fabulous. And, of course, you know, you got your Bob Monkhouse and people like that. But it's all changed now. I mean, a lot of those have gone now, bless them. But yeah, I used to go around the clubs, and there were people like Frank Carson I was supporting in those days. Lots of comics that you don't even hear of that are still damn good comics, you know.
So who would you say, was the biggest influence on your career? I know you mentioned Ken Dodd there. Ken Dodd was a legend, and suddenly we just lost him.
The biggest influence would have been a guy called Paul Melba.
Okay, can you tell me a bit about Paul Melba?
He's probably the best impressionist that this country has ever really created, apart from Mike Yarwood.
Okay.
And he was a brilliant impressionist. He still is. And I met Paul a few times in the Isle of Man, and In fact, he replaced me there. I was doing my summer season there, and at the same time, I was flying to Nottingham every weekend to record Saturday Royal on the Lionel Blair show. And so he replaced me on the Saturday. And I got to see him a couple of times. Excuse me. And he was a wonderful impressionist and a lovely guy.
Well, I want to talk about, because obviously there's so many things that you've been involved with. You've mentioned some of the shows that you've been on. Les Dawson, of course, a legend. But coming back to you, I want to talk a little bit about, now there's a programme that everybody will remember called Blind Date. You had something to do with the initial start of this. Can you tell us a little bit about that? What happened and what went on with that?
Well, it came as a bit of a shock to me. I actually... oh, hang on a moment. Is that all right? Can you hear all right?
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, first of all, I did the Saturday Royal, as I said, and I did the first week. I was only supposed to do 1 week, and I made such an impact, the public took to me. They said, who's this guy who says, chase me?
Yes,
and of course, I've had to change it since I had my stroke. I've changed it to push me now.
Oh, no.
But, yeah, that's it. But it still gets a rougher. But I still say it, I say, go on, chase me.
Chase me. You need to say it because it's yours. Nobody can own that apart from you.
No, still do it. Still put it in my act, And I was such an impact on that. Well, after that came Des O'Connor. I was asked to go on there, asked to go on the Terry Wogan show, Bob's Full House with Bob Monkhouse.
Yes.
And of course, Celebrity, with Les Dawson, Blankety Blank.
Yes.
And I was getting well known. And then all of a sudden I got a phone call, well, my manager did. Would I go to London ITV want to see me?
Okay.
And I went into the offices, I was taken into this room, and they said, we'd like you to do a pilot show from a show that's come over from America. Mm-hmm. And we're going to show it you now. And when it came up on the screen, it was called It's a Hoot. That's what it was called in America, It's a Hoot. And they showed the clip of these three fellas sat on these chairs, and the women come on and asked them questions, and then ended up going out with one. Now, they wanted me to do the version over here, well, at least do the pilot and see if we could make it work.
Yeah.
So I spent a month in London with a producer called Joel Striblin, right? And Marcus Plantin was the director at the time from Thames Television, London Weekend. And I spent a month getting it right, and they said to me, be camp on it, be a bit camp, Duncan, just be yourself. I said, okay. But I'm having a bit of fun now, innit? Oh, this is going to be all right. So I got these three guys sat on three ladies sat on a stool, and I bring the fella on, right? He's never met me before. And he come on, and he was like an Adonis. He was about 6'3", blonde hair, good looking, bright blue eyes and shoulders on him like a bison. He was unbelievable, a bum like a peanut. He was the right shape, And he come up, and I said hello. He went hello. I said, what's your name? And he says Ryan. I said, you ain't come on here for a girlfriend, have you, Ryan? He says, I have. I said, somebody as good looking as you. I said, you can't find a girlfriend. You've come on to see me, haven't you? And he went, I haven't. No, I haven't. I want a girlfriend. The audience, we had 400 people in hysterics. Oh. I mean, everybody was laughing. The producer, everybody. And of course, I'm camping it up a bit and looking around. And it's so funny. Anyway, we get onto the show, and he looks at me and he whispers to me, which number? So with me fingers on my right hand, I put out two fingers down the side of my trousers as if to say number 2. So it come to him picking them, and he says, I'll have number 2, and a cry come from the audience. Oh! Well, 2 of them were beauties, and in number 2 seat, She was, shall we say, she was a little bit larger than the other two, and bless her, she was pretty, but she was just a little bit larger. But she was only about 4 foot tall, as if she'd been hit by a lift, bless her. You know, and I'm there, and I'm thinking, oh, wait till they come from behind the screen, because my idea was to have a screen put in. The American version didn't have it, and I said it'd be better if he cannot see them, he can just hear them.
Yeah.
So I said, here's the first one you've turned down, Ryan, and she comes from behind, she comes out, and she goes, hello, and he says, hello, and she walked off, and I said, here's another one, Ryan, you've turned down, Samantha. She's a hairdresser from Walthamstow. She come on, and she was a stunner, honestly. And he said, he looked at me. He's thinking, God, what have I got? You know, because I've told him number 2. Well, 1 and 3 have been right proper, you know. And I could see we're looking at them all the way as they were walking off. And I said, but you've chosen number 2. Her name's Diane, and she's from Doncaster. Plug in Diane. Well, he's looking for her, and he's forgot to look down. And she's under his armpit. And she's cuddling him. She throws her arms around him, cuddles him. But as he puts his head down, his head's now on top of her head. You know, she's quite small. And he looks up at me, and he kind of goes, you bar steward, you know. And the way he said it, and the producer went, cut, because it was on camera. And then he's gone, well, he told me. He says, well, he shouldn't have told you, should he? Right, let's do that bit again. Pretend you're excited about it. Well, he couldn't act, bless him. And it was so funny. And I felt a bit sorry for the girl, but she was taking it in good art.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got the pilot done eventually, and then we did the 3 guys. One guy come on, and 3 guys went backstage, and a lady come on and picked one of those guys, you know. And we didn't take them anywhere exotic. We took them to Skegness. That was what they won, a holiday to Skegness.
Skegness?
Yeah, when I did the pilot, and it was snowing. It was freezing. We took them out sea fishing in Skegness. Yeah. I think the budget for this pilot were about 27 quid. Honestly. I mean, I never got paid for the pilot. And I spent all that time. And of course, it went then to the editing suite. And the editing went down. It went upstairs. Now, Jill Stribling, who was the producer, she said, Duncan, this is fabulous for you. They've got to give it you. Anyway, they watched it, The Powers to Be. And at the time, they said they wanted somebody older to do it. A more motherly figure or fatherly figure.
Right.
And the two they had in mind were Max Bygraves and Cilla Black.
Right.
And of course, Cilla got it, and the rest is history, isn't it?
So at that point there, Duncan, how did you feel? Seriously, how did you feel about that when you got the news that you weren't going to get this show, It's a Hoot, and Cilla Black had got it after it had been rebranded to Blind Date? How did you feel about that?
Truthfully?
Yeah, truthfully.
Gutted. Absolutely gutted, because I thought I'd done enough to actually get the show, and I really thought the public would have liked the way I did it. You know, I was never offensive.
Did they ever broadcast it?
No, it took me 30 years to get the pilot off them. So I've actually got the pilot show now. They've released it to me.
Wow. So what will you do with that? Will you release that to your fans, your audience to see that? Or was it just a personal thing that you wanted a copy of it?
It was a personal thing that I wanted a copy of it, but I asked for it 30 years ago.
You really? And they refused?
And they refused. I could put it out, but I promised them I wouldn't, so I'm not going to.
No, I understand that, but I understand that.
It would make a great Christmas present. It's so funny.
Well, maybe then that you did the show so well, the pilot, that by giving you access to that at the time when they were launching it with Cilla Black, it could have then been seen that your version was better than the one that Cilla Black had stepped into. Have you looked at it that way?
No, not really. I think I think they were right in the way of thinking that they needed somebody older. I mean, I was 30 at the time. I'm ideal for it now. And of course, after Silla's death, there was backup for grabs. And I thought they might have offered me it then, actually, but they didn't. And they gave it to Paul O'Grady.
And what do you think about that?
I thought, well, I weren't camp for them. I was too camp when I was doing it, and now they've got somebody who's even more camp than me. I mean, it could have been worse. You know, they could have given it Graham Norton, and I think I would have had another stroke if they'd gave it to him.
Yeah.
But because I'd done the camp bit, I thought, well, they're going to give it to somebody then who's going to be a camp host. But they gave it to
Paul O'Grady.
Paul O'Grady, yeah. I mean, he's doing a good job, you know, and good luck to him. But, I mean, he's got enough TV appearances. I thought they might have took a chance and said, Duncan, let's put you on and give you a chance on telly, you know.
Well, listen, I mean, from an early age all the way through to now, you've had a sprinkling, and a decent sprinkling, of TV programmes. I was watching earlier, as I told the audience in hour one of my show tonight, that I was watching you on Ted Rogers' 3-2-1 doing a set before you did your set, and then you came over and give a clue to the contestants.
Yeah.
It seemed like you enjoyed doing that, and Celebrity Squares with Bob Monkhouse. It seemed that you enjoyed doing that. Was kind of an area you like to be in.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved guesting. The Des O'Connor shows were fabulous as well. Des was great to me. And Bob Monkhouse, he was a gent. And I did one with Mike Reid and Friends, it was called.
Oh, I love Mike. I loved Mike Reid. The same as I love you. I love Mike, the late great Mike Reid. Exactly the same way.
He was the right geezer.
A geezer.
The right geezer. And my best friend, who's actually he writes material for me, a gentleman called Mickey Pugh.
Yes.
Who's a wonderful comedian from down south. Absolutely amazing comic, and so original with his material. He was Mike Reid's best friend. He used to write for Mike. He used to write a lot of Mike's material, and he's well respected on the circuit, Mickey. He should have been a big star.
I mean, most people talk about, you know, people that have had the craft and career like you've had, along with your fellow veterans, of course. throwing obviously Mike Reid in there, Mick Miller being another one to throw in there.
Mick's a great comic as well. Yeah, Mick.
Obviously, when all this stuff happened, and obviously you didn't get this It's a Who's that was turned into Blind Date. It must have been a little bit of a down for you. So how did you kind of come back from that and think, well, okay, I'll brush myself down, get myself back out there, back on the TV, like the Bob Monkhouse show, Des O'Connor. Did you do any other pilots for anything else?
No, I didn't actually.
Right, okay. The reason being you didn't want to do them?
It didn't affect my career because it wasn't shown.
Right.
I mean, if it had been shown and I still had the show now, it would be probably a good rating show.
Yes.
And obviously the money is exceptional on telly.
Yes.
But it didn't work, so I had to carry on going round the clubs, which is what I've done for the last 45 years. Well, and I still love it, and, you know, I'm grateful that people still come and see me, and they still got the warmth they've got for me, you know.
Well, I think the understanding, Duncan, is you'll be surprised at how much love people share for you in this country. I remember you. I remember you popping up on all sorts of programmes all through my teenage years. You were popping up on everything, of course, and you'd always used to come on with the catchphrase "Chase Me." And I remember, and this is what I remember, I was watching a little bit earlier. You were on Bullseye,
yeah.
Going for the 301.
Another great we've lost, you know.
Yeah. Well, I had Jim Bowen, the late Jim Bowen, on the show here about 9 months ago. Yeah, I did, yeah. And it was great to talk to him because I always wanted to know what they did with the Star Prize at the end, and he said they used to take a saw to the speedboat.
Well, I know where they are. But most of the people that won them live in Sheffield, because you know when we had them floods,
yes,
it was inundated up there with speedboats, you know, because they used to win them on that show and put them in the garage and never use them. And when the floods hit around Sheffield, when it was really bad that time, they were all going out all over the place.
Well, I'm a bit of a bull.
Super great.
I'm a bit of a bullseye fanatic, of course. So I've kind of lived and breathed bullseye, and I know that when they do the darts part of the show, normally the celebrity comes on, or the dart player, and literally it's a quick chit chat straight into it. However, I noticed with yours. That when you came out talking to Jim, you were cracking all sorts of jokes, and it lasted so we could see a lot about you again and how you can just literally slip into this comedy mode. You were actually one of the very few people that had that time after that commercial break, probably 2 minutes, to show yourself again before you went and did the darts, which really isn't something that happens on Bullseye very often.
No. I mean, I got a really good spot out of it. I know that.
Let's talk a little bit about, let's talk a bit about some of the people that you've worked with in the clubs. Who would you say would be your ideal people to work with if you're gigging? Who do you kind of bounce off these days? Who would you like to work with?
Well, Mickey Pugh. I like to work with him, but I wouldn't like to follow him. He's great to work with, but you wouldn't want to go on after him, really.
Why?
It's just so funny. He's just great.
So are you.
He's a proper comic. Yeah, I'm great, and I do it my way. I do impressions, and I've got a bit of a character about me. And he doesn't sing, I don't think. He's just great. I mean, he rang me today, and he gave me a couple of gags, which I haven't told you yet, but they're crackers. He gave me one, and he said he was on about Brexit, and I just said to him, I said, it's going to affect me in a big way. And he said, what is that? I said, I've got to get up every Sunday and wash my own car. which isn't easy, Chris, with one arm and one leg.
Yeah.
Taking it down the road, they made a good job every Sunday of it. And then I said, have you got anything about the Duke? He says, yeah. He says, I can't believe that. He says, 97. He says, that's too fast for anybody, isn't it? He says, and then he says, I can't believe him. He turned it over twice, not once, twice. And he says, I says, yeah. And what, Mick? He says, well, he's of the opinion, the old, because there's that 97, like the old saying, stick in the mind.
Yeah.
One good turn deserves another. It wasn't quite wrong. And he said that, and with the Brexit one, he says, don't worry, he says, the Queen's got it all sussed. Because, she's put her oar in now, hasn't she? She said that they should get together and really negotiate and sort it out. She's right, what she said. But she's had to put her view forward, when she should do, being the monarchy and all that. But she's even said that she's prepared to let the Duke be Theresa May's new chauffeur.
Oh, no, that wouldn't work, Duncan. That wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. I've been asked to mention this on the show tonight, so we're going to talk about some of your kind of one-liners. We're going to talk a bit about all the impressions you do shortly. But I want to ask you about this because this was brought to my attention today, and I was told to ask you this. Can you tell me about the water rats?
Yes, it's about 5-6 months. It's probably been in nearly a year, I think.
Well, what's it all about? Tell us what the water rats are about.
The water rats, Grand Order of Water Rats. Well, they're a charity organisation, and all the money they raise goes to different charities and good causes. They've been going since time stood still. We have all members of show business, from royalty to massive stars to stars that aren't so well known but are marvellous people. And we also have, like, the Friends of the Water Rats, people that support the rats. We do shows all over the country, up and down the country. We have golf tournaments. We have a king rat who goes to all the functions. whether it's with the royalty, and we raise thousands upon thousands every year. And they're an amazing organisation. They really are.
It's amazing, amazing.
And they do it all themselves. It's not like a Masons.
Yes.
It's not like that. You know, it's all run, and they choose who the money goes to. We have all the treasurers, and we have directors, and when a cause comes along that's brought to our attention and they need money, the money is there for them. You know, they're wonderful.
That's fantastic.
I mean, I've always raised money for the Stroke Association because I'm the president of the stroke awareness, and I do a lot of charity shows for them. You know, I mean, I've raised nearly $3 million in 4 years.
Wow!
With the help of the post office. They've been wonderful. They supported a campaign called Make Me Purple.
Wow!
Which they raised fortunes, and that was the post office. They were tremendous. The Royal Mail got together, and they came up with this idea. And of course, I helped them with a video for it. I did a video for it, which was played throughout the post offices throughout the country, and we raised thousands.
Well, I've got to say to you, we've got so much. It's just to let everybody know what we do. We're live on the radio now at 5 to 10 with the legend that is Mr. Duncan Norvelle. If you've got any questions you would like to ask Duncan, feel free. You can email me now, radiosecondcity@yahoo.com. We're going to take a break shortly just to allow Duncan and myself to wet our whistle and get a drink. Before we do, Duncan, I've got a message here. Say hello to Duncan for me, love. Mrs. Van Winkle.
Yes. Husband, a late husband.
Yes.
Dick Van Winkle was a wonderful act. He was an instrumentalist. I think that's right.
Yes,
yeah,
instrumentalist. Yes, yeah.
And he used to tour with me when I first started doing theatres and summer seasons. His name was Dick Van Winkle. A strange name, but he was a wonderful man. And he used to play the penny whistle, the flute, the clarinet, and he was wonderful. It was a great friend as well, and Sue's a great friend of mine, and Lynn, you know, she's very close to us, and he's a wonderful man, bless him. He was a wonderful man.
So I will say hello to Susan Humphreys. There's also other people that want to say hello to, but we'll do that shortly. So what we're going to do now is on Second City Radio. So much to get through. We're going to be talking impressions and Duncan's favourite impressions. That's coming up. We're going to be talking about his little bit of an issue with a bit of health scare back in 2012. And any questions you want to ask, of course, you can do it now. Email radiosecondcity@yahoo.com. We're going to play a track now. We're not going to talk about your album yet, Duncan. I'm teasing them. We're not going to tell them what the name of the album is yet. However, here's Duncan Norvelle again with another track. This is brilliant. This is Sway.
Chris Phillips plays the very best in music across the UK on the fastest growing online station, secondcityradio.net.
It's 11 minutes past 10 o'clock. Now, the big question is, Duncan, have you had a drink?
Yes, I have, yeah. I've got to stop drinking, Chris.
Why?
Honestly, I've got to stop.
Why?
I've got to stop drinking.
Why?
The police rang me this morning, and they said they want to interview me. And you know something? For the life of me, I can't believe I applied for that job. I can't think when I applied for that job.
See, you can't make me laugh too much because I've got to interview you.
They're stupid lines, aren't they?
There's so much going on tonight. We're just going to talk now briefly.
Have you enjoyed the album, by the way, Chris?
It's lovely. We're not going to mention it yet. I'm deliberately keeping that because people are asking me what the album's called. I'm not telling them yet.
All right. Sorry, you let me know when.
Well, no, because what'll happen is people will know the album, they'll be off to buy it, and they're not listening to you on the radio. I want them to listen. We will tell them at the end of the interview exactly what's what. So listen, let's talk a little bit about your family. Have you got a good family base around you, Duncan?
Yes, I've had several wives. I tried that. They found a new thing now, a new drug that lowers the sex drive in men. You know, it's called wedding cake. I wish I'd have took it all them years ago. And they found the gene. Two scientists in Blackpool have found the new gene that causes obesity. And she's 62 and she works in Greggs. Stupid.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
I've got a nice family. And my first daughter from my first wedding, Sophie, she's 33, and she lives in Marbella. And my second daughter from my first marriage, Yasmin, she's 30. Oh, my second marriage, that was, yeah. And she's 30, and she's lovely. And she lives in Blackpool.
Wow.
And then she is beautiful, and she's stunning. And I've got a little boy called Jack from my last marriage, and he's 10. And he's a lovely little boy, and I think he's going to go in the business. He's not shy, and he just loves performing. He likes to be centre of attention, really. So I've got 3 wonderful children from 3 different ladies, but they're all okay. I think they're all happy, and you know, I think they don't know where I've gone, to be honest. So I'll leave it like that.
Well, you know, family is really important, of course, for everybody. You know, when you're kind of in the world of show. We're going to talk about some of your impressions now. Some of the impressions. Well, first of all, what does it take to master the art of an impression?
In my case, I can either pick them up straight away, or I get them confused with somebody else. You know, and I hopefully get them straight away. I mean, when I was younger, I could pick them up quicker. My voice has changed a lot because it was a lot softer then. It's got deeper with the age, you know, and I think with having a stroke, and I had a heart attack 3 weeks before Christmas. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I don't. No, I didn't know that. I'm sorry to hear that.
I've got one of them valves now.
Yeah, you've got a stent.
A stent.
You've got a stent. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I think I was going to talk to you about what happened back in 2012, and we'll talk about that. We'll touch on that in a second.
I find that, you know, if you can watch it, if you've got the voice of an impression and you keep watching it over and over, it does come to you. I mean, the hardest one I ever learnt was Sylvester Stallone at the time.
Yes, that's what I was going to mention to you.
And the voice that was very light, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to mention to you, because you do a fabulous Sylvester Stallone. Have you got any of that you can do for us?
Stallone, hang on, I've got to stand up for it.
Okie dokie, here we go.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Sly, how you doing? How you doing, Sly?
You know, that's what I want to do. Hey, turn it on. Hey, the monkey belongs to me, you know. Yeah, that's okay, Chris. Do what you want to do, okay?
Amazing. Sylvester Stallone on the radio. Dear, that sounded so good. What else? What other impressions do you do there for us?
Oh, you know, I did quite a few. I used to do the racing commentators. I used to love them.
Fabulous.
You know, Peter O'Sullivan and the Irish commentator, Michael O'Hare. You know, you get Peter O'Sullivan again. There's an all finished run from room now. Yamatori coming on the outside. And over to mine with Michael O'Hare. And they're coming inside the final furlong now. And Troy takes it up from Dickinson. And they got inside the final furlong. And Lester Pickett is on the reels. He's back on his horse. Good old Lester. And they get inside the final furlong. Mr. Grimsdale. And then he used to go into Norman at the end. You know.
Wow. Another round of applause for that.
They used to do Top Cat. That was the cartoon.
Yes, Top Cat. I remember it well.
Okay, Benny, here goes us dibble. Okay, guys, now get a move on. Everybody's a nut. Now where's Benny? I'm over it, TC. Now where's Brains? I'm over it, TC. I'm still at the end of the alley, TC. You know.
Oh my God, how good is that?
A
How
few
good.
up-to-date ones I like what do you call it, off Coronation Street. Kevin Webster, you know, I like him.
Do us a Kevin Webster. Do us a Kevin Webster.
Yeah, but I go into Johnny Vegas when I do it.
That's fine. Let's have a bit of both.
well, Kevin Webster goes, Sally, I want you, Sally, come here. Sophie, what are you doing? Sophie, come here. And I go, if you just take it down a tone, you go into like, monkey, I want me monkey. Monkey. And then you go back into Kevin Webster, you know. Tyrone, come here, help me with this, Jack Tyrone.
Brilliant.
You know, brilliant. And you get them confused a little, but they're coming back.
Thank you for the Duncan. That's absolutely amazing. Amazing, honestly, it's amazing.
But remember we were talking earlier about the water rats?
Yes.
You know, there's a film out at the moment, Laurel and Hardy.
Yes.
And they were both in the water rats. You know, they were both water rats. That's how far back we're going. And Charlie Chaplin. And there's only 1,000 water rats. That's worldwide at any one time. There's no more and no less. It's 1,000 all over the world, everywhere.
Well, before we carry on talking, because I need you to say hello to somebody.
Can I just mention with the album?
Yes.
That was before my stroke, and I'm fighting to get my voice back. And with the help of my singing coach,
yes,
which is the wife of my fellow brother Water Rat, which is Ron Regan.
Yes.
I don't know if you can remember a comedy group called Nuts and Bolts.
Yes, I can.
Can you?
Yes, I can.
Well, Chris, it's her husband, who's a fellow Water Rat, Ron Regan, who was in Nuts and Bolts, and they were a funny show band, you know, in the early 80s.
It was great television, again, as we've just been talking about.
A lady called Maggie Regan, who was a great singer herself, and she's been helping me get my voice back so I can go out there and sing as well, you know, which makes it a lot more entertaining, because I use the audience and I do impressions, I do a lot of gags. So I've got some great people helping me get back out there.
You will be absolutely fine, sir. There's somebody who's listening into the show tonight who's desperate to get a mention. Somebody called Patsy McMullen from Blackpool.
Oh yeah, from a great singing duo.
Yes.
Called The Back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. She's a singer-actress, back-to-back duo. Patsy McMullen is sitting in my chat room talking to us live as you're on the radio.
Is she really?
She is, yeah. Yeah, she is. She's there.
She should be out there working.
No. She wants to listen to you tonight. So we're going to talk a little bit about the fact that I now understand that you are a bit of a cook. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, that off. You've seen me on the.
Well, I was just about to mention Sean Hughes, Gina Yashari, and Paul Tonkinson. You appeared on Celebrity Come Dine With Me. Why did you do that? Why?
Sean Hughes, what a sad loss that was. He was a nice man.
Well, why did you do it?
Why did they choose me?
Yeah, why did you do the Celebrity Come Dine With Me? Did you fancy having a go at cooking?
No, I couldn't cook to save my life, but I told him I could just to get on there.
But they go around your house and pry in your knicker drawer and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, they have a good look around. No worse than the other guy who does it through the keyhole.
Oh yes, you're about what's his face? That guy with the ginger hair. Keith Lemon.
Well, Keith Lemon, I won't let him come and do it. No. But I went on that programme because I really was interested in cooking. It's just that all they do is they say, right, here's your money, you know, because they give you so much, £500, I think,
really,
to go and get the supply. That's for drink and food.
Wow.
You know what you're going to get. Of course, I took the 500 quid and it says four McDonald's. That'll do me.
I like that. That's a bit of me. £495 for yourself and a happy meal for everybody else.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, good stuff.
You see.
I like that.
They weren't impressed. Anyway, I reckon by the time I finished doing the meal, cooking it for them, they'd have been better off with a happy meal.
So I understand, of course.
That's where I'm going to have my next wedding reception at McDonald's.
So I understand.
Last Happy Meal I'll have.
So I understand, Duncan. I understand. Before you suffered this kind of what they call a mini stroke, of course, and we're glad that you've come through that. And of course, the revelation about having a heart attack, having a stent fitted now. Before then, you were in summer season. You were working with the legends at a Cannon and Ball.
Yeah, very good.
So what are they like to work with, Cannon and Ball?
They're good. They do very well. For two straight men.
Yeah.
I think they're really funny. Yeah, they have done well. They've survived, haven't they? What we call survive. They've survived, and they're a name, and they're good at acting as well.
Well, tell us now, finally, a little bit about...
Frank Larson was my favourite in Blackpool.
Who was? Who?
He was wonderful. We did a few summer seasons together.
Right.
He was great. I always remember we walked in a bar, and you could see from the lounge into the main bar, and this fella in the main bar shouted out, "Hiya, Frank, buy me a pint." And Frank went, "I can't hear you." And 2 minutes later he said, "Buy me a pint, Frank." Frank says, "I can't hear you." And I said, "Frank, I can hear him." He says, "You buy him a pint."
Brilliant. So before we talk about what's coming up for yourself, let's talk a little bit about the album. Now, of course, as Duncan said on the radio site, this was recorded before he had some health issues, of course. I've got to say, what I've played so far is a fabulous album. Do you want to tell everybody, A, why you recorded the album, and B, what it's called?
It's called Music from My Life, and I recorded it about 6 months before I had the stroke.
Right.
Which I'm glad I did. And somebody told me, why don't you put it on iTunes?
Yeah.
And I don't know, how much is it to download? It's $7.99 to download.
That's cheap.
16 tunes on it.
Yeah, that's cheap. $7.99. It's nothing.
Is cheap, yeah.
It's nothing. So this album is available, and of course, as the radio audience will know tonight, very rare, being the boss here, that I give way to legends of TV, radio, voiceovers, and music. But we've been playing your album all night. And do you know why I've been playing your album all night, Duncan?
Because you ain't got another one.
No, because there's nobody here that can tell me I can't. Does that make sense?
Oh,
yeah, I'm in charge. Who can do anything to me? I can do what I want. I can go on the radio if I want. I can't do nothing. Can't do nothing to me. So, of course, we want you to go and download this album. So, $7.99, of course, available on iTunes, Amazon, and all good places, of course. We are going to play another couple of tracks before the end of the show. Now, my exciting part of the interview, Duncan Norvelle, is what is coming up now, what's going on. And you might need a bit of help, of course, jogging the old memory, but what is coming up for Duncan Norvelle over the next few months?
I'm working quite regularly now.
Yes.
It went very quiet just before Christmas, but, I do the odd show. I've got about 3 or 4 big charity functions coming. I'm going to London to for the Stroke Awards? The Grosvenor. At the Grosvenor Hotel in Mayfair.
That's very much.
And I'm doing a luncheon there. I'm doing a speech.
And you're doing the one in Sutton.
I'm doing the one in Sutton. I'm going to what's it called? Livham Hall in Blackpool for 2 nights.
Well, I could tell you because, this is how diligent I am. The Love and Laughter Show with Duncan Norvelle and Scott D. That is going to be at Titchfield Avenue, Sutton in Ashfield on the Thursday, the 7th of February. Tickets are a tenner. That will be a great night. The Ultimate Cabaret Show, it's saying there.
Pardon?
The Ultimate Cabaret Show.
Yeah, I mean, he's very good, Scott, as well. He's
Now, this is a great one, of course, if you want to see the lovely Duncan Norvelle. He's also going to be appearing at the Mansfield. Now, this is the big variety show on the 9th of March. Now, that's in Rugeley in Staffordshire, and, of course, we're hoping that Second City Radio can get along and help with that one.
You're going to get down for that time.
And it is Lynn Sweet, Lee Carroll, Duncan Norvelle and Mick Miller, ladies and gentlemen. What a lineup there. Well worth the dosh. That's going to be a big night, of course, if you're in that area. Rugeley, not that far away from the Midlands. That's coming up. You've got loads of things coming up.
I'm doing a big show as well at the Concord Club, which is near London.
Right, well,
near Southampton, sorry.
Well, you've got another one coming up, so we're going to mention this one as well. We're going to sell, Duncan. We've also got Vince Hill and Friends, a charity variety show.
Yeah, that's going to be wonderful.
And that's going to be comedy legend Duncan Norvelle, and he's going to be appearing with Vince Hill, of course. Now, this is at the Belgrade Theatre on Tuesday the 4th of June. It's a 1:30 in the afternoon start. Tickets are £15. You can call the box office on that one, 02476 5530 55. Am I not good at this?
Yeah, you're great. You've got the job now.
Well, that's it. I can be I'm now with a brand new PR.
I'm gonna pester you now, because every time I work round the Midlands, I'm gonna ring you and let you know.
But see, this is where you're a little bit behind there, Duncan, because we're not just the Midlands. We cover the whole of the United Kingdom.
I know. You've got so many listeners.
So wherever
you've got in Australia, is that right?
We've got people in Australia, we've got people in Canada tuned in, we've got people in Greece, Spain, Portugal, we've got people over in America, we've got people in Florida that listen. We're literally everywhere.
I met my first wife in Australia.
Did you?
I said, what the hell are you doing here?
Well, I have to say to you, people have gone absolutely ballistic for you tonight. And what I like is the fact that the thing that annoys me, and it does annoy me, and I'm going to say this now in fairness to yourself, people that, are not on TV for a while or not got a hit record out, people think out there that they've just died. It's not the case. All these great guys like yourself are out there treading the boards, working and earning instead of being a celebrity for being a celebrity, as in famous for famous, which doesn't exist in this day and age.
It's all changed, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just changed television. Years ago, the public used to stay in a weekend and watch the stars on telly, yeah?
Yeah.
Now it's all changed. The stars stay in and watch the public on telly.
Do you know what I think you would be very good at, Duncan? And I'm going to say it live on the radio now. So if any producers are out there listening, I think you would be a perfect judge for talent.
Oh, yeah, I think I'd have a good job at that, yeah.
You'd be very good at that. I could see you sitting there, not smoking it, of course, because it's bad for you. I could see you sitting there with a nice glass of gin and a cigar, with your foot teetering over the X button. And you're deserving of it. You're a true legend. Everybody in this country knows who you are. I'm a fan of yours. I couldn't believe it. I can't believe it now that you're on my show.
Well, I'll tell you something, it's been a pleasure. Anytime, just ring me if you want to come on a Christmas show or something like that and do a few gags for half an hour. Well,
this is where your wife will prick up her ears now. Because what I always say to people that come on here, it works the other way around. If you want to sell something, you just want to come on because you're bored. You have my direct number now. You can ring me whenever you like. You've got the platform to, and of course your other half, of course, can keep me in touch with what you're doing. Obviously, I'm going to pester her about the 9th of March. So it's all good, and we'll come down and support you and come and see you, of course, and it'll be a great night of entertainment, I'm sure.
I could do a lift to Southampton on the 14th of July. It's not a story, is it? I bet there's somebody there who'll ring up and say, I'll take him.
If there is anybody listening, Duncan Norvelle needs a lift as long as it's not a tractor. Tractor is no good.
I'll just have to mention my partner before we go.
Yes, please do.
My lovely Lynn, yeah. We've had 35 happy years, honestly. Been together 35 years.
Could I just break precedent here? Could you, for me, just very briefly, pass the phone to Lynn for me?
Yeah,
Let's do this.
Hello, Chris.
Good evening, Lynn.
Good evening.
You are now live to the network, and I want to know, because I hope Duncan can't listen, how do you put up with him? I want to know.
Well, I only have one ear that can hear him, and the other one I bung up and make sure that it's shut at all times.
I'll tell you what she does, Chris. She puts the pillows at the bottom of the bed and she says, "Go on, let's see if you can reach them."
So what resonates to me through this interview is just literally, as I've heard through the interview, you've been helping him in the background there, I've heard that. It just signifies to me love for both of you. You seem to really, really, really love each other. Am I on the money there?
Yeah, I think we're pretty close, haven't we, Doug?
I like the way you went, yeah.
I've known her 30-odd years, you know, and we seem suited.
Just finish the joke for children and listening. When you said we've been together 35 years, just finish the joke, please.
What? Oh, yeah.
He normally says we've been together 35 years.
Yes.
What's the finish of it? 35 years we've been together. 5 of them have been happy.
Yeah.
It's only a joke, just in case the family's listening.
So, Lynn, what is the secret to the success? Obviously, it's quite clear that you help Duncan out in every part of his business life as well as his home life. You're probably even cooking the odd oven chips. What is it about Duncan? Does he is he a different person every day, or is it kind of you've been together that long now you don't know how to get rid of him? Is that it?
Don't know how to get rid of him.
I've got to be honest. A lot of people say that comedians are only funny when they're in front of an audience and they're manic depressives when they're at home. Duncan's neither. He's really quite comedic even at home. And he's always, he's a murder to take out shopping. You're never going to go on a shopping trip with him because he'll just talk to everyone, and it takes you ages to get around. He did a cruise. We did a cruise recently. It's called the Palladium Cruise. It's for people that had actually appeared on the London Palladium, and he met up with his old friend Vince Hill, Tom O'Connor, Sue Hodge,
wow.
Frank Williams. I can't remember who else was on there, but there was about 12 people that had been on, the London Palladium, and as we're going around the ship, it took us twice as long because Duncan would just stop and talk to everybody, and most of his act, he did, well, not most of it, but all the jokes that were, he'd start off by telling one couple, I turn around and he's got about 12 listening.
Wow.
So, he's there's his quiet times, but not very often.
Well, you sound like an incredible couple. I mean, we've been talking on this show for an hour tonight. And yeah, and on top of all the music that we've played and so another couple of tracks from Duncan that are coming up, this has been one of the best and longest interviews that we've had on Second City Radio on my show. Well, I think Duncan is absolutely worthwhile. He's a legend in this country, and these people that we're talking about now, the people that we have on the radio, you need to embrace these people because this is a different era. This is an era that we should be in now without all the swearing, the bad language, people being on TV for no reason whatsoever. These guys are out there treading the boards morning, noon and night, learning their craft. They've started up slow, scratched themselves a living. Come on, audience.
I wish you were on the telly, because you'd put me back on there.
I'd put you back on now. I would actually, do you know?
It'd be lovely to go on there because I'd be a breath of fresh air with what they've got out there.
I could just imagine now. Let me just have a think. 9 square boxes. We got 9 celebrities, and it goes new celebrity squares with your host Duncan Norvelle.
Yeah, it would be nice.
How good would that be? And then you could just go chase me and then straight into the show.
Yeah,
wouldn't it?
Could do, yeah.
Well, listen, I've got to thank you guys so much. I could talk to you all night, but in 20 minutes I'm off the air and into the weekend.
Can I just tell you this quickly, Chris?
Of course you can.
You know when you're out shopping and people say to me, do people recognise you still?
Yes.
Well, I was out the other day and I was just in Morrison's just getting some stuff, and I can hear this woman behind me with a walking stick. Because I could hear the stick first going tick, 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 tick. And I looked in one of the mirrors and I could see she was coming towards me, and I thought, she wants an autograph. So I thought, I'll wait till I'm at the checkout and get it over with,
Yeah.
And then I can get straight in my car because I'm rushed for time. I've got to get to the doctor's. Anyway, I go around the next aisle and I thought, I'll get there before her. and she's straight behind me within a second. I thought she must have come through the stall. Anyway, I hear this tick, 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 so I carry on, and I thought, I'll get down this aisle, then I'm straight at the till. And I turn left, and she's left as well, tick, 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 and she catches me up at the checkout. And I'm stood there, and I turn round and look at her and smile. She says, "It is, isn't it? It is you, isn't it? It's you." And I looked at her and I said, "Yeah, it is, love." She says, "When are you coming to finish my bloody kitchen?"
Oh, Duncan.
Terrible, isn't it?
Well,
when
listen.
You come to finish my kitchen, she said.
Well, listen. This is something that I've never done before. Never done this before on the radio live. It's been a great. I'll tell you what I want you to do. It's been a great interview tonight. I'm very pleased that your health is improving, and of course, through the power of your wife, we'll come down and see you on the 9th of March at Rugeley, and we can do something for the radio for that, which might be happy days there. I'm going to do something that I've never done before on this radio show. I'm now going to allow you to say your goodbyes, whatever it is you want to say. I'm going to give you the whole radio network now, and I'm going to say, Duncan Norvelle, over to you.
Well, I've got to say, you've done a wonderful job, and it's been great talking to you people, and it's getting late now, and I should have been in bed ages ago. But it's been a pleasure, and if anybody knows what happens in Coronation Street, don't tell me, because I want to watch it tomorrow. I mean, that's great. I mean, I know you're people in Australia. You're a bit behind, aren't you? Because I don't know how far behind you are, but Ina Sharples dies, you know. What have I spoiled it for, do you think? But I just thought I'd let them know. And it's been a wonderful. I've really loved it, Chris, and thank you for giving me the time to talk to the people out there who probably can't get to see me. Well, I've not been round your way for a little while. But I am still alive. I'm still working. And I love doing what I do and making sure that people are aware of stroke, because it's one of those diseases people don't think a lot of. You know, there's not a lot of money goes in the charity pot. It's all given to people with cancer, which is also a terrible disease. And they've worked wonders with that. But I think they ought to raise a little bit more to stroke awareness. And I'd like to thank my manager, Kev Hawkin, who's from Howling Entertainments. If anybody's interested in booking me for a show, get in touch with Howling, that's a dog's Howling, Entertainments, Kev Hawkin. And I'm available for bar mitzvahs, everything, weddings. I know a lot about weddings and christenings and anything. And I do come along and I do sing, and what you hear on the album's what you get. Well, and I'll say to anybody who's got an illness at the moment, whether it be a stroke, if you know somebody who's had a stroke, the best thing you can give them is time. Time and love and laughter is the best medicine. I believe laughter's the best medicine. Unless you're diabetic, then insulin's a better option.
Always.
Always.
Well,
so anyway, Chris, that's all I've got to say, and thank you. I'd love to come on again, Doug.
Well, if you can stay on the line for me just for a second, I'll just have a quick word with you off air. Ladies and gentlemen, Duncan Norvelle, absolute legend. Go and check out Facebook, check out Twitter for all the latest news on Duncan Norvelle. And, of course, we spoke about his album. I'm going to play another track from that album. This is You've Lost That Loving Feeling. Duncan, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Chris Phillips is live now into the weekend with Flashback Friday on the UK's #1 station, secondcityradio.net, and on the Second City Radio app for Android and iOS.